All right, great Thursday morning. Hope everyone is doing well. Cesar Mascoro Jr. with Manufactured Home Sales Mastery in for our 15 Minutes to Mastery Thursday edition, episode number 211. And we're 2 days left in the month of May. 2 days left for you to get your homes delivered, get them funded so that you can stack up your May and end up hopefully hitting your goals or surpassing the goals. If you haven't hit your goals, you got to figure out why the heck not. And probably some of it has to do with our topic for today. Today, we're talking about improvisation in sales, right? Improvisation in sales. Sometimes you just have to go off script, but that still has to be prepared. And because of that, with what I just said, I love this quote from Paul Simon. And Paul Simon, guitarist, musician, right? He wrote or said, improvisation is too good to be left to chance. Improvisation is too good to be left to chance. Now, how many of us have gone to a concert? We've been somewhere, you're watching a concert and you hear the guitar solo, right? They go into a guitar solo, they go into a drum solo, okay? And it's during a song, right? And you think, man, that's awesome. I've been to plenty of shows myself. I'm a huge rock fan. I'm a huge Foo Fighters fan, for those of you that don't know yet. Okay. And you'll always have the solos that go on, right? And they're just, it's amazing. It's amazing to see. It's amazing to hear. And it's just an overall amazing experience. However, all of those solos are practiced. All of those riffs that they go into that may seem off the cuff, and sometimes they are. Sometimes they are. But the majority of them are practiced. The majority of them are already prepared. They know, and that's what Paul Simon is referring to right here. Improvisation is too good. It has too much of an effect, too much of a positive effect to be left to chance. So you got to prepare for those, okay? And you fit those in as you go along. And so how does that apply to sales? How does that apply to us in manufactured home sales or any type of sale, right? Well, we have to understand this. We talk all the time about follow the process, follow the process. There's a process for this. There's a process for everything that we do. And what you have to understand, though, is that the process is simply a foundation. The process is simply, it's like the bumpers at a bowling alley, right? It's to keep the ball in play. But you still got to throw it down the lane. You still got to either put that spin on it or whatever it is that you do. I'm pretty much one of those straightforward just type of bowlers. I'm not out there like you guys that throw it up in the air 10 feet and let it drop and spin halfway down. That's not me. But anyway, the sales process is a foundation. Okay, it's something to be used so that you don't skip on certain information, skip on certain things within the sales process itself that would lead to you earning the business, right? Now, the whole role of this process or the script itself, you can also think to sports, right? If you follow football, especially, and I'm talking American football, the majority of the teams they've scripted their first 10 to 20 plays to start the game. And they do that in order so that everyone is on the same track. They already know what the plan is, the game plan is, and they script these first 10 to 20 plays to see what the defense is going to give them, but at the same time to just not so that everyone's not having to think all the time. They already just know the plays. Okay. The role of that scripted process for us in sales, it's just to give you that consistency, to give you that structure, okay? So that you're not missing those key points that need to be covered, okay? It's also there, just like with the football teams and just like with the guitar solos, to give you confidence so that you're not nervous of the fact that, oh man, I'm getting into this guitar solo and I don't know what it's going to sound like. And I don't know if I'm going to screw it up and I'm going to get out of key and I'm going to play the wrong notes. And the fact that you have already scripted your process, it gives you that confidence of, this is what I do. Okay. When I get a lead in, This is how I make phone calls. This is what I say. This is what my intention is. When the customer comes in, this is how I greet them. This is what I do as far as in the interview process. These are the questions I ask so that it's just second nature. Okay. And it gives you that basic foundation for success. Okay. That's the whole idea of the process. And too many of you out there, too many housing consultants out there, you don't master the process, and you haven't also mastered the improvisations, the what ifs, the hey, I got this question once before, I better learn something about that for the next time that this comes up, when I have to go off script, or when I'm on the phone and they throw this other question at me, or they throw this just wrench into my whole process. How do I adapt to that? You've got to be able to prepare for those things so that you're able to move swiftly, so that you have that confidence and are able to go. Okay. Because that's where, when those things do come in, when they do throw in that wrench, when you do get asked that question, when the customer is acting in a certain way that throws you off and you need to improvise, well, with that improvisation, you still get to earn the trust of that client. You're able to gain credibility, build credibility within yourself, because you're adapting to them. You're still following the structure. You still have the foundation, but you're adapting your presentation to that. You're improvising it, you're adapting it. And so now you're able to continue on with your questions, your interview questions. You're able to understand the customer's needs because they open up to you more. Okay. As opposed to you having to force it. You're trying to force it this way. It's got to go this way because this is how I do it. And you lose the customer, right? You have to be able to read your customer. We talked about it a couple of days ago on nonverbal communication, right? So you have to understand the things that are being said and the things that are not being said. And by doing this, you're able to then adapt your presentation. You're able to adapt your feature benefiting. You're able to adapt your game plan or your closing technique based on that particular customer, right? We talk about the different personalities of buyers. Those would be something that you need to adapt to. Not everyone is just going to come in and be the overly friendly person that's willing to just sit there and go through everything and decide to buy from you on day one. Everyone has their own personalities, right? And so you need to adapt to those. You need to improvise for that based on what may happen. What happens when you have a couple and both of them are two different types of personalities? Now what? Right? Those are the kinds of things we're talking about. And so being able to improvise allows that flexibility in your presentation, but you're confidently able to do it. And so it still comes across to your client and with a credible nature behind it. And so they are more willing to make a decision based on who you are, what you did, and how you did it. But it takes being able to improvise. Right? So how is it that you can balance that scripted, structured foundation of a sales process with improvisation, right? So there's some things you got to keep in mind when we're talking about this that are going to help you work your way through this. All right. Whether it's on the phone or whether it's in person, these things here are going to really, really help you out. Okay. And first and foremost, as I start with everything, it's just, you have to start with empathy. You have to start with caring. You have to want to be there and understand that what your role is and why you're doing this. So if you are truly a housing consultant, a community manager, or a sales leasing agent that is there to help people become homeowners, you're going to be able to go through, you're going to put in the time to learn how to master both your presentation and your adaptability. Okay. So it starts with empathy. Think about why you're doing this, find out your purpose, and start there. But with the things, the strategies that you can use, one, you've got to be actively listening. We talk about that all the time. Active listening, right? Understanding what it is they're telling you, not just speaking to speak. but you've got to actually use your conversation and your questions to get your client to start opening up. You need to hear them most of the time. I love the fact of this. So we do daily training, right? Here at Manufactured Home Sales Master, we do daily training for our clients. And that's something that you can be a part of as well. If you want some information on that, please reach out to me, by the way. But so we do these through Zoom. And there's a feature on Zoom that breaks down the recording based on how much time I spend talking, how much time the students spend talking, how long are my longest rants, so to speak, right? My uninterrupted speaking before somebody else says something. Okay. And the reason I bring that up when I'm talking about active listening is here in this call, I'm here speaking to you for 15 minutes, at least, if not more, right? And hopefully at some point in time, you guys will start interacting with us live as we're going to do this and it just make it even more fun. But until that day comes, I'm speaking. However, when I'm with the client, when I'm sitting there and you're with the client, you should be speaking 20%, 30% tops of the time. They need to be speaking that 70% or more. So that way you can hear not just what they're saying, but you can hear what they're not saying through their nonverbal communication. So active listening. You have to ask open-ended questions. You have to ask questions that you don't answer yes or no to. You don't ask questions that just are one-word answers. You ask questions that are going to get them to that the response requires a conversation. It requires an elongated phrase or sentence, something that they're going to actually be speaking on. Okay. So you've got to, especially when it comes down to their needs and wants in the home and to their reasons why they're looking to buy a home. Okay. You've got to ask those open-ended questions. So instead of, hey, what are you looking for in a house? Well, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Okay. You got to make it more interesting than that. And that's why we ask our questions the way we do. And that's things that we get into in our interview process of the training. You have to personalize your approach based on that customer. You've already spoken to them ahead of time, hopefully, unless you've got to walk in, but you've spoken to the majority of your customers. You should be driving that traffic. So you've spoken to them ahead of time. You know who they are, hopefully what they like, what they're looking for, those kinds of things. So try to personalize, prepare ahead of time for that appointment so that you are most effective and you can then get in tune with that customer and get them to be able to open up. And plus, by personalizing your approach or understanding who they are, you can already anticipate the added questions. You can anticipate the concerns. You can anticipate what may be the objection, right? When you're talking with the customer and that you've got one person here of a couple, right? And let's say the one spouse is here and the other is not. You should already be anticipating I need to speak to my spouse. So that way you're already prepared, but it takes you preparing for that objection so that when it comes up here, you're able to attack it, right? The next thing is you have to stay knowledgeable and you have to stay prepared. You have to continue to train. It is not a one-time thing. It is not you got hired and you train for a week, you train for 2 weeks, and then we're done. Now I just do the job. No, that's not what it's about. Training and preparation is a daily occurrence. Can you imagine if I came to you trying to do these kinds of things without training daily, without me learning daily? There's no way. I would have stopped 2 months into it. Can you imagine not preparing for these 15 minutes to mastery? We're in episode 211. 211 days in a row. Well, one day I skipped, right? So 211 episodes of these 15 minutes to mastery, but it takes preparation. It takes daily training. Even when I was on the sales floor, it was daily training. I'm always trying to get better. I'm learning my product. I'm learning financing. I'm learning how to speak better. I'm learning how to overcome objections. I'm learning how to just be influential with the way that I speak. There's all types of training that you can be involved in. I'm learning how to be a better business person. Even when I was a salesperson, I had a coach a business coach that I used to help me better understand how to maximize the opportunity I have as a housing consultant. So increasing your knowledge and your preparation. And then, of course, practice the improvisation. Just like Paul Simon said, improvisation is too good to be left to chance. So, like I said, especially for those of you that are new to the industry, if as you're going along in your career and you hear one thing that you haven't dealt with, take a mental note. You may stumble through it that first time. You may have to get somebody else in to help you out and overcome that, but make a mental note and then practice that. I had a housing consultant years ago when he started with us, and as he went along in his career, he had index cards and he would write things down, and then he'd script out what he would say to those things as he encountered those different objections. I thought that was amazing. That was a great approach, because that's how he learned better. And those are the things that you should be doing as well. Practice that improvisation. So when you have to go off the cuff, it's so natural to you. Because that, my friends, confidence comes from competence. So you must be competent in order to be confident. So you have to be competent at that improvisation so that you can then be confident in that improvisation, which then leads to it being effective. Being effective and you being able to still earn that customer's business. You guys have a great Thursday. I hope this works out well for you. I hope that this helps you out with what you're trying to get accomplished. And if there's something we can do to help here at Manufacturing Home Sales Mastery, please let us know. Next week, I'm going to be in Phoenix. So those of you in the Phoenix area, communities, retailers, please reach out to me. I'd love to come by and meet you. Spend half the day with your team. We can do a team training, half day, full day, or we can just do come in and speak to your team to get them fired up for you. Reach out to me. I'll be in Phoenix next week. I'll be in West Virginia the following week, and then I'm going to be in Orlando the week after that. So in those 3 areas, if you're in that area and you want us to come by and meet with your team, we'd love to do it. And we know that it'd be something that would benefit them, benefit their life, their business, their career, just like we want to do for everybody to take you to a whole new level. Have a great Thursday. Get on out there, kick some butt in the month off strong so that you can get into June kicking butt. So I will leave you with that, folks. And as always, I can't wait to meet you.